Tuesday, literacy grant. PNTP is also a partner. They led a really good session on cohesive team building and what it really truly means to be an instruction leader. So I think both of those days were really well. The feedback was good as well. Next, Wednesday and Thursday, I've already talked about Jenny and Julie working really hard with our principals around attendance, behavior, and just student services in general to make sure that we're all aligned on understanding and practices that we have. They did a really good job today on attendance goal setting, so I thought that went well. And then right now, a lot of our focus is on finalizing all those professional learning plans and just those fine details, which are going to focus on high quality instructional materials, full implementation of our curriculum around collaborative professional learning communities, making sure that we have a aligned system across all of our grade levels. Looking ahead at next week, I'd like to invite everyone who's here in our audience, but then also our board members. We have a Portrait of a Learner community meeting. So that was sent out by email and also on Facebook and Aptogee. So I'd like to invite everyone to that. And so we're bringing together parents, residents, business leaders, and staff to share input on the real world skills and mindsets our students need to thrive. So the whole idea is we're getting input from our community on our Newport or Wildcat Portrait of a Learner. Okay. Next, finally turning to new business, just a couple items that I wanted to highlight. You'll notice that the KSBA policy updates are on there. Number 2 is the KASA dues. I'm requesting approval for 3 district administrators' dues to be paid. It's really important in terms of leadership training, networking, and also additional legal counsel to a specific role. Next, the third one there, the superintendent professional growth plan. I know the board's going to continue to work on some of those items tonight, but I wanted to go ahead and share my input on some focus areas for the upcoming school year. And then the last one, there is an MOU with American Legacy Theater, which this partnership brings a program to our preschool classrooms this fall. And so the American Legacy Theater teaching artists will guide students through theater workshops, to build an original production, and then at the end of the year, the preschool students will actually perform for the parents in the community. So if you have any questions specifically about that, Nikki probably could add anything. So thank you, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, next is the Gifted and Talented Board update.
And actually, sorry, I was thinking about this here. Melissa had an emergency that she had to deal with, so we did go ahead and have the report on there, but she will be back next month to be able to present this verbally to everybody in person.
Well, it looks really good. It's a great report.
Is she like working over the summer?
She is, yes. So she's
So we
pretty
can
much
reach
back.
out to her for questions.
Yes.
Okay.
So really nice. I mean, we have a gifted and talented teacher hired, Melissa from the district level supporting the overall program. So the structure, we have a really good structure in place.
And you said the teacher's for the district, so she will be servicing.
So Carla is the teacher that services K through 12.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Dr. Hemmerly is from the district level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be supporting the teacher and the students. Now, is it possible she can come to the not July, but our August meeting on next?
Our work session?
Yes, what date is that?
Is it the 12th?
It's the 12th, yeah.
I'll make a note and then we'll invite her.
Okay.
I believe she should, well, yeah, that's the first day of school. She'll be working.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next is the Special Education Department update.
Good evening, Madam Chairperson, Board. You have my report. We have a few items this evening under new business. We have the updates to the special education procedures. They have been updated to reflect legislative changes that are going to take effect during the upcoming school year. Changes are highlighted in red. If you had a chance to look at the document. Within the document, for ease of your review, these procedures serve as a companion document to the board policy 08.131 and the the updates were limited to chapter 1, some of the definitions have changed,
Yes, I
and chapter 7, placement for class size and caseload requirements. Do you have any questions?
I appreciate them highlighting the changes.
No problem.
Yeah,
I'm very visual, so.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
it was dense, needless
And
to
it's, I was
say.
gonna say, it's a lot of information.
It was a lot of information, for
Yes.
sure.
The,
And then the second item,
55 pages.
it is,
Yeah,
We appreciate
no
Yeah.
problem.
being able to go and see, you know, the clarity and the definitions and things like that, and the class sizes based on the disability, I thought was really interesting. You know, so that they will be able to meet the needs of those students based on their learning disability.
And there's no significant changes, but there were some changes.
Yes, okay. So I think we've done it like that to some degree, but to have it stuff. So are we gonna be able to, you know, meet and adapt to all the changes and challenges? Always good to know.
And then item number 2 is our agreement with the Counseling and Diagnostic Center. At this time, we still have not been able to secure a school psychologist for the district-wide position. So CDC would be able to come in and do the evaluation piece for the cognitive testing, the intelligence testing for our special education evaluation.
What program is that?
This is for special education. CDC is a clinical psychology practice, and they can come in and do our IQ testing for evaluation.
So are they located in their own facilities?
They are. They would come into the schools and work with us in a partnership. But only for that purpose, only for testing.
We need to talk about Mark again.
He retired.
I know.
I called him.
Yeah, they do it right. Reach out to him about it.
He was great.
And then ARC chairperson designations, this is just annual to approve the list of ARC people or titles, positions that can chair ARCs within each building.
That's for Mr. Brembridge.
Yep. And then that's just our enrollment snapshot for the year. We'll have that updated in September and August reports. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
no,
Okay.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Madam Chair and members of the board, you have an update from the DPP office for the month of July. A couple of items this month. The report or the update does start with our finalized 10-month attendance and where each school ended. We had a phenomenal meeting today over our wildly important attendance goals. The principals shocked me in how high they went with some of those goals. I would have thought that they would have been stretch goals, but they are dedicated to moving our students forward. And so we are excited about the work that they did today. And that really just focused on making that learning visible. How do you make daily attendance visible to kids? How do you make it visible to parents? And how do we communicate that message to teachers so that everyone hears that same message again and again? A lot of that work did come out of our session from Monday with Mr. Atkins. So really just continuing that theme and that work. Also within this report, we had it a month prior, but it is time for the board to take action on the return to school-based decision-making. So each of our schools within the district have been eligible and for that return of power from the board to the schools. And what that allows is for each school to have a group of parents, a group of teachers, and an administrator serve as stakeholders within the building. They are elected. That also allows us and mandates us to have minority representation in each of our schools because of our school demographics. And those individuals will serve to ensure that their school is in that continuous improvement process and just making sure that they are staying focused on student achievement that will also open a pathway for that communication between that school-based decision-making straight to the Board of Education. So they will be able to report out to you the growth that they are seeing in the individual school and what their exact focus is at that time. One of the first pieces that we'll be working on, if you do return it, is going to be their elections and then beginning their constitution and bylaws. We will then move directly into their policies, really beginning first with that writing policy, advanced placement, and how we are garnering students of all different backgrounds for those advanced placement and credit positions. This would require them to have training because it will be new. They do have to have 6 hours of training. And so I did go over the summer and become a state level trainer for school-based decision-making. So there will not be a cost associated with that other than if they choose to do additional trainings throughout the year. I would suggest that they always have different trainers for each one because each trainer brings a different viewpoint and comes from a different lens. But all of those trainings are designed by the Department of Education.
Okay, and if I recollect, it's an administrator, 3 teachers,
2
and
parents
2 parents.
and a minority representative.
Like it used to be. Now, so the minority representative is one of the parents, correct? Or is that
It
separate?
is, it is, and it can be.
Oh, okay.
If we do not have a parent that is a minority, we're first going to hold an election or try to get a minority parent to run for site-based. If that does not happen and a teacher that is elected is a minority, then they are eligible to submit that information and get that as an approved site-based.
Okay, so as far as like the policy, since we have not had an active site-based council, where are you gonna start with policy and all that? Because you're basically gonna have to recreate the wheel, correct?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, so, and we have principals that are not familiar with, site-based, and so,
I'll be honest, it's extremely unfortunate that we're in this position.
yes.
So site-based authority is removed once you become a school identified as.
And I think we all understand that.
So we're out of that, we've been out of that.
Right.
It's unfortunate.
That's not, yeah, but we're starting, it's like we're starting new.
Yes,
So my point is that there's a lot of learning to be done by this climate, and because we got new teachers, and so it's been years since we've had site-based, so please keep us posted on the
Absolutely.
training and the development and, the plans, and I think when we actually have site-based, we got copies of the minutes of each meeting.
yes.
So we would like to put that back in place so that they are attached to our monthly meetings so that the board can be kept abreast of what's happening in the meeting as you develop it. So we'd like to know about the training, the conversations, the election, what the whole process, just keep us
Absolutely.
updated, because I think it's a great opportunity too, I think.
I'm glad that you pointed that out because that was actually in the teacher feedback piece. That was something that they explicitly requested, is that they want the minutes of the meeting, and then as those minutes are approved, that they are requesting those as well.
Right.
So we had overwhelming, I know when we were here last year this time, we looked at the teacher feedback, and that was one of their top areas.
Well, thank you for doing the training and saving the district money.
Absolutely.
But I think this training coming from someone with your background and knowledge of how school works, it will be a great opportunity for our parents and our teachers and our principals to learn, from an educator,
Yes.
how, site-based should look. And it really is a great opportunity for you to empower the schools. That's what it does. It empowers the school with their curriculum, their culture, and things that they want to do. And so I'm excited that that's returned, because I started it as a site-based council member. So I remember, the experience, and I think it's really a great opportunity for our parents and teachers to once again be engaged in the decision-making. So,
So I have a question on that.
mhm.
Does each school have their own site-based council?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, and do they stay aligned with what one school is doing to the next?
To some degree, because they have different goals.
Well, I mean, I understand that they would have different goals, but like, we're going to this seamless instructional structure that we want all the schools to have. And is that gonna continue, or is site-based gonna go in and say, no, we want a different curriculum?
Curriculum is decided by the superintendent. in
Okay,
conjunction with the board. So that years ago was something that site-based would have done, but curriculum
law changed.
selection, it is not, and I don't want to give you the wrong year, so it may have been 2 years ago, it may have been last year, if you need that exactly, I can find that.
I don't need it, I just wanna know, like, what kinds of things a site-based council has the privilege to oversee.
Right. So when you're thinking about that, it's and I've got a list here. It's everything from student assignment, so how students are assigned to classes and programs. The school schedule, how the day is divided out, the school space. So I'll give you an example of that. What if you had a school that saw that their science scores were lower, and when they looked at the curriculum, they realized their deficit was maybe in the plant cycle or plants and classification, something within that. And they decided that they wanted an outdoor space to be able to work fully in that, or if they wanted an outdoor habitat that they could use. That would be an example of that school space.
Okay,
They don't say, let's say, for example, you do SPDM allocation. So the board gives the school the number of teachers they're going to have for the year. So we all did that back in February and March. You tell the schools how many teachers, but you don't tell them what teachers go in which grades. You don't tell them how many teachers they're getting per grade. That's all stuff right now that the principal is doing in conjunction with the superintendent. That power would then return to the teachers. And what they would say is, these are the maximum class sizes set out by the state. So we already know what those are. Those are what we plan for. For example, in first grade, the maximum is 24 kids. So it is the responsibility of that site-based council to say, wait a minute, we've got 25 kids here, we've got 26 kids here, we've got 23, 22. Their policy will say that potentially that you cannot go over that class size. In that case, they would then direct the principal to correct that issue to make sure that they're following that policy. The offset of that also is when you don't have a site base, you must go according to the state rules. So let's say, for example, that in 5th grade, tell me if I'm wrong, Dr. Lawson, but I believe 5th grade is 28 or 29 kids. 29 kids. Well, let's say that the SPDM council said, wait a minute, we have X amount of teachers. We want a lower class size in this grade. So we're going to make sure that 3rd grade and 4th grade are below what the state says they should be, but we want to really focus these extra teachers and reducing that class size. So instead of it being a principal decision, working through the advisory councils, then that would actually come back to that SPDM council. So before the principal would be able to take that action, it would need to go through that council.
okay. Okay,
And the principal is on that, so that the dialogue happens with the principal.
yeah,
And right now, you do hear from your district administrators. This honestly just opens up that communication from the board to the schools.
So do you have previous like bylaws and policies you've had before, or a template to help you develop those?
Yes, and the state, there are several different organizations. The Department of Education has sample bylaws and policies. We are already a member, Newport is, for the, I might get the acronym wrong here, but it's basically the Kentucky Council of School Councils, for lack of what the acronym slip my mind there. But there are several different organizations that we've already worked with to make sure that we have the appropriate policies. Other pieces within this update, you will notice that you have the EXAC and the Department of Juvenile Justice, MOU, the memorandums of understanding. You will notice there that the budget piece has not been completed yet. So our federal programs coordinator is currently working through the general budget, what needs to be paid for out of the federal budget, and what actually the state tax act money is able to pay for. I would be bringing these back to you in the month of August when those budgets complete. Your federal programs coordinator has these on for tonight, specifically so that the consolidated application can be submitted. So that's the reason why you receive those. It is not a problem if we wait until August and you have those completed budgets, but this will give you time to look at those.
Yeah, I would prefer to have the numbers, you know, I think I shared it with Mr. Atkins, I'm not comfortable approving of blank, because, I mean, if the budget was removed, and we were just approving the actual, you know, form, that's fine. I'm not comfortable approving a form that has no numbers in it. It's like, you know, you could plug anything in, and say, we would approve it.
Right, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and you'll notice there that one section is specific to federal funds.
Yes.
Say like Title I or Title I Part D, and that's going to be your federal programs. The other side will speak specifically about the Kentucky Educational Collaborative for State Aid Children, and we'll also talk about general fund.
So we're not up against any deadline.
So what we'll do is we'll request an extension for the
Okay.
consolidated application.
Okay.
And that due date actually changed this year, so it did open on July 1st, but we'll be able to request that extension. And that's not a problem.
Well, if we could be ready, you know, we are meeting on August the 12th, so if that will probably be a special meeting, because I think we have some other items that we're going to be approving, so.
And then the last thing for me, sorry, it takes so much time, is the code of conduct. We did request that the Department of Education review our code of conduct and give us some constructive feedback and let us know if they saw areas for improvement. They were very pleased with our code of conduct, that it met all of the criteria established. The one question that they did have and suggestion that they had was that we change the way the dress code was written to put it in positive terms of what you could wear instead of what not to wear. And so we did make that correction. And each of the schools within their student handbooks will have their exact dress code. The district is the umbrella, so that kind of sets the foundation for them and lets them know what criteria they need to work with. Definitely adding a table of contents.
Well, as I shared with Mr. Atkins,
On page 40.
the most important thing about this book is that it's followed and implemented consistently.
Yes.
Because, you know, one school follows it one way, you know, not saying it's happening now, but we've had experience. So I think the most important thing is that there's consistency with the code of conduct. Because we oftentimes, as board members being on the street, we hear the stories.
And principals, you are within the room, you're our chairperson,
Yes,
making sure that we are
consistent. Yes.
consistent with your implementation.
Any more questions regarding this?
I had a question about the chronic disruption. I've had several children in the district, and that has always been an issue that they've had, is that their classes are always interrupted by the same troublemakers that are in their class. So is this, I mean,
What page is that on?
it's on page 46. It states that if they are removed from the classroom 3 times within a 30-day period, they shall be considered chronically disruptive and may be suspended from school, and no other basis for suspension shall be deemed necessary. I just want to know, is this going to be followed? Because that shouldn't be an issue in our schools.
I would agree 100%. That's actually a point of conversation that we had today. I do want to point out one thing. For chronic disruption, the way the law is written, it is an interruption of the same class 3 times within 30 days. And so if you're in a first period class, a second period class, a third period class, those are different classes, the way this is written. So there is that piece. I would also add that we have to be very cautious to make sure that that student doesn't have an individualized education plan specifically to address those certain types of behaviors.
Right.
We can't infringe upon their rights. But we have been seriously discussing chronic disruption.
Okay, that's reassuring, thank you.
Oh, one more piece, you all do have it's a board policy, but also, new in Kentucky, legislation this year, and that is when a child intentionally harms a staff member, assaults a staff member, that is a 12-month expulsion. So if they intentionally cause physical injury to school personnel, that's anyone who works for the school, at school or during a school-sponsored function, the expulsion will be for a period of 12 months.
And what is it if they cause injury to a student?
Just that, what the students do.
Then,
If a student causes harm to another student,
so if
then
you
what
go
is the
back
penalty?
and you look at the specifics for assault, it's going to determine whether it's an assault first degree, second degree, third degree, or fourth. Is it fighting? Is it striking? So all of those things matter. So we are a district where if one child comes up and hits another child, just randomly out of the blue, we consider that striking. That is fighting, that is assault. If it is an assault with injury, depending on other behavioral factors for that child, that may mean anything up to expulsion, and it will also mean that we file criminal charges.
Okay,
So the difference with that is if they're a third grader and they get in a fight, that's not a student that I can bring up for expulsion. And that's not a student that I can file criminal charges for, just because of the age of the child. Now, if there are extenuating circumstances, there are times that we can engage with the parent in proceedings greater than what the school can do. But it really comes down to the age of the child. And then if the board has a particular belief or opinion, it really comes down to what the board action, what you want to see. So if, obviously, anytime we have any assaults or any type of injuries, the principal will ask for an additional 5 days, which gets you up to a 10-day suspension, and then we will ask for a hearing in front of the board for expulsion.
right,
Now, if it's your first fight, and you've not had another fight, we usually consider that a child in need of intervention.
right. Okay,
How do you differentiate horseplay from assault? I've noticed horseplay was one of the
It comes back to
severity.
the educational recommendation of the principal. So what they're going to do is provide that child due process and then make a determination from there. We're fortunate that we do have cameras, for example, in the hallways. They have to take witness statement. They have to let that student know what the potential is, what they're being, accused of, and they are allowed to have their own witnesses and make their own statements. Our principals have to look at that evidence and then make a determination from there. I will tell you, if it's fire drill, emergency drill, we take those a little bit higher.
So when it comes to this book, and I know it's in home to parents, but what's the student engagement when it comes to this book? Are they,
So within the code of conduct, it's going to be within the first few pages there. The school administrators are required by law, by board policy, and by that code of conduct to review the code of conduct with students. So they have to review the academic expectations, the behavioral expectations, and what the behavior policy is for the school.
So those typically happen at high school level in town hall meetings, and then the other grades, they do grade level meetings, at the very start. We need to make it for
There you go.
a lot of Monday morning meeting, you have to, look effectively respectful, but academic, safe, academically, behaviorally. Similar, but more appropriate for her age, but yeah, we do that and it's okay, good morning.
okay, great. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, and you have this, did you talk about this one, policy, I think it's up here for second reading, admission? Admission and attendance policy.
Is that the admission and release committee for charitable?
This is the one that talks about the best interest of the child, the student.
Oh, the policy in specific, yes. So with that board policy, that was one that we received. It was optional. It was at the recommendation of the Kentucky Department of Education. And we already have the policy. What the Department of Education is recommending is a line was added that says that we will immediately enroll homeless students. Well, when I go back to ESSA, and I go back, which is our federal programming, and then if I go back to federal McKinney-Vento law, the intention is always to enroll students. It's not to purposefully delay their enrollment. And you have to have a meeting, it's called a bid meeting or a best interest determination. Ultimately, it always comes down to parent choice. So the parent can choose to stay in the school of origin.
There you go, that's the word I'm looking for.
Or they can go to that new school district.
That's right.
So what that means is, let's say that we have a student who comes in and says, or a parent comes in and says, we're homeless. We're living doubled up with so-and-so, and they live on 8th Street. The way the department is suggesting it is that we just immediately enroll that child. Well, I have some concerns about that, because once you enroll the child, you didn't look at anything best interest, you didn't talk about the school of origin, and you also then enrolled students who may or may not actually be in your district.
That's right.
So I need, it normally doesn't take more than a day. It might take 2 or 3 days tops. But we need to be able to have that meeting, because there are always going to be people who, Newport's a great school district, but the number of people who do claim that they are in temporary housing as compared to my doing the initial residency verification home visits, those are showing 2 vastly different things.
Correct.
So this could put us in a position of where we are enrolling students, we're just taking people at their word. So there were 2 options. 1, leave the board policy the way it is, or 2, I would ask, if you want to implement what the department is suggesting, that you give us a little bit of wiggle room there. Basically, with the wording I suggested, if a kid comes in, we're happy to put them in a classroom. We're always going to do what's best for kids. But that does not mean that Newport has to keep that student. If someone has lied, or not been factual, that's a much better way of saying it. If you simply don't live here, if we're not your school of origin, and you're able to get in that school.
Right, and that's my concern, is that you need time to determine the school of origin, because the law is based on that. The obligation comes only if the homelessness is originated in Newport. If it's originated in Florence, then we don't owe them.
Unless the parent chooses to do that.
That's right.
Yes.
But, and I think sometimes, we need to focus on, that is the determination of our obligation.
Yes.
If we're these, homeless.
And we're not running into an issue of extended delays.
Well, I had great concerns about this, as you know, and I spoke with our board attorney, and he shared with me that, you know, it's something that it's optional, and when you brought it because it was a change.
If that's something you all want, if you want the change in the policy, then I am just asking for protection in our procedures so that we are not enrolling students. Basically, it's a matter of did we enroll them legally? If you do not live in Newport, if you are not homeless, then, we need to be able to prove that.
Yes, and we have a non-resident policy
We do.
and guidelines. And so we want, the board, we'll take, action, but I'm not prepared to vote on this.
And I'm not comfortable with the additional change that the department is asking, because it's not been an issue at Newport. Not only that, just the number, and if you need that exact data, I can pull it from last year, but the number of investigations for initial enrollment revealed innumerable individuals who simply did not live here, or the kids stayed for a night or two knowing that I was coming that week. When I followed back up the next week, they were no longer, not even in Newport, they were no longer even in the state of Kentucky. So there are things like that. They know if I say we, and that's not all of our families, by no means, but I will say, you will also notice that our homeless population has greatly reduced if you look at the past 6 years, and some of that is because of the changing demographics of our city, but also making sure that we are constantly and consistently, proving residency.
All right, thank you.
So you want to table that?
Yeah, when we get to
Yeah,
it, when we get to the, new business, which is, I think, the next thing, there is no old business.
No.
So, we're there now at the agenda, so that discussion can happen, as we go through the consent agenda items. So, let's see, that's number 4, right? That's number 4, the second reading.
Gotta be number 4.
Number 4,
Second reading. It's KSB policy. There's one on number 8 also. Not up to number 8.
and number, there is a procedure update.
KSB.
And that was the consent for outside traceable communication, so that's the split, I'm okay with. So that was number 4. Okay. All right, anything else that you all want to table, other than number 4?
Somebody could make a motion to approve items 1 through 3 and 5 through 14. And that in and of itself would table 4 because you take no
But
action.
there are other policies. Right, and, right, so the annual updates, I think we're okay, because we reviewed those our last meeting for the first reading. Yes, right, we just want to pull the modification, so the motion express that.
Yeah, just pull,
Which one is it? Do you
it's
know?
912.
Okay,
Yeah, what I would do is accept all, I would just move to pull that off the consent agenda.
okay,
So if you do a motion second for that,
and then we can approve the other.
and then specifically exclude all the presented policy changes with the exception of 9.12. Yeah.
Did we come back to that then later? Is that the way?
We can.
7 and 8, yeah. That's the one with where there's no budget, right? Number
Mhm.
7.
Right.
7 and 8, yeah.
Yeah. Right, so, all right, I need a motion to remove consent agenda items, 4, 7, and 8.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
And we're gonna add, let's see. So that makes us have what, how many? Move 3. That's
So
7,
12 left.
12 left.
If we remove
Well, we
3,
moved
there's
3, we
12,
have
there's
11 left.
11.
But we're gonna go back to 12 because we're going to add the one where we're amending number 4.
Would we just
Got
even
that,
out
yeah.
part of it, right?
So that was shown in the minutes correctly. So I need a motion to add, policy changes. The annual policy updates with the exclusion of the
9.12.
9.12.
9.12. So I need a motion to add that. That's
So
it.
moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, very good. So now I need a motion to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 12 as adjusted.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty, very good. Next is board comments and concerns.
So I just want you all to know that I think you are doing amazing work, but I would ask that when we're preparing for our meetings, that we get the materials by Friday before the meeting. Because some of this material was not on there this weekend, and I spent all day Sunday going through policies until it, sorry, special ed put me to sleep, but, you know, spent all this time doing this, and then this afternoon, I go to check the portal, and there's all these new items on there, and I'm like, how can I possibly do a thorough deep dive into this when I'm just getting it? Now, it may have been on there Monday or Tuesday, but as you work full-time, I work full-time, and, you know, just finding the time at the end of a long day to go through documents is just tedious. So if at all possible, you please try to get us the material by Friday before the meeting. Please. And thank you.
Right, thank you. And because, you know, we charge ourselves to read these documents before we approve them. You know, that is what we do, and sometimes it is tedious, so the sooner we have the documents to, you know, and I just had that conversation, I think, with Mr. Atkins, because, you know, we want to be able to, you know, our integrity, you know, we want to make sure that we're approving documents that we have actually read and reviewed and agreed with, and as you can see, this discussion is because we looked at the document. You know, now, if we hadn't looked at the document, we would have approved a document that had no numbers in it, and it was a budget. So, you know, it is, you know, very important, and we realize that it's not always possible with everything you all do. You know, you get the documents late, you know, you don't always get it in a timely fashion, but as much as what lies within you, you know, if you can get those documents to Kim, you know, that Friday before the board meeting, that would really help us a lot. Because, you know, what you all don't know, like, you know, your document was 155 pages, you know, DPP's document, so you all are not always privy to the other documents that we get. So sometimes we may get documents from different department heads, and we could be looking at 300 pages to look at within 3 or 4 days. So just to be mindful of that is what we're asking.
Yeah.
You know, because, you know, you just, you know, you send yours, you send yours, you know, and no one, you all don't have the collaborative, you know, the collection of documents. You're not privy to that. And so they just, you know, I think she just wants, and I do too, because as Kim knows, I've been having this discussion for a long time. But, and we know that there's always a document that you didn't know needed to be approved by the board, you just got it that week. And so we understand that, but the norm is what we need, that you all, let Mr., communicate with Mr. Atkins and with him. And sometimes you can send it before it needs to be approved. You have the document and you know it needs to be approved. If you can get it to us maybe the week before, Ms. Snaps, she sends us documents, a couple weeks in advance saying, hey, this is gonna be on the board meeting, can you review it? So if you have that opportunity, that'd be great too. So just letting you know that it's okay to send us something in an email, and you don't always have to wait till you get it to Kim to attach, especially if you already have it. So we understand that you all have multiple deadlines too. All right, thank you. I'm with her. I appreciate all your hard work and
Yeah,
the great job you're doing, and it's not, what you do is not easy. And it really is a special calling in this climate, because everybody's not supporting education like they did when we were growing. It's a whole different climate, so we appreciate all that you do and all the demands, all the testing demands, all that. We understand that. So we appreciate all that you do to make it happen for us. So, any other comments? If not, I'm gonna thank you. We're going into executive session. We don't expect to take any action, but you're welcome to hang around and make sure we get home safe. You need something signed?
Oh, yeah, reports are a little bit different than visiting every county, so whoever signs is different, it's often heard, sometimes not.
So I just need to initial this.
This is one of the things.